Blessings. How you doing, everybody? This is King Kevin Dorival in the building, baby. And today we're going to talk about mental illness and how the stigma is such a huge taboo within the black community that we just continually and constantly just brush under the rug. Like we don't even pay any attention. As a matter of fact, as a black person, as a black man, I know personally that seeking help or even being considered psychologically out of order, that I may be crazy, or people may look at me as if I'm crazy. And so I don't go see therapy. I won't go see a psychologist. I won't go talk to a therapist because I don't want to have that label, so to speak. And this is killing us, literally, especially amongst our young black boys. Our young black boys are 8.3% more likely to commit suicide. Can you believe that? 8.3% in comparison to 6.1% of the white population. In the United States of America today, we have roughly about 325 million people, correct? And the black community used to be 13%, but now we are about 14.6% of that 325 million people within the United States of America. So that is roughly about 14.6%. Now that means that's 47 million people that are black within the U.S. borders, and on top of that, 16% of them are diagnosed with having mental illness in 2017. As a matter of fact, and these numbers I'm calling out from what I remember from this article that I read from the NAMI, which is a mental health website, National African American Mental Health website. They had a beautiful blog, and there's another one article that I read and seen a video with Jay-Z talking about having mental illness and how it helped him save his life, because he was able to talk to someone and that he was able to overcome that stigma of being considered crazy. As a matter of fact, listen to this clip he did with Vaughn Jones of CNN.
Of the stigma attached to it. It's like, what? You just talk to someone about your problems, and I think actually it should be in our school. I think children have the most going on. Their mind are not fully developed, and teenagers, and you're drinking and you're doing damage to your brain, and all these things are happening to you, and you don't know how social anxiety and all these things are happening to you. You don't have the language.
Now Jay-Z made some very good points in his very small clip on CNN's website. Now, he mentioned that children have the most going on. Mental illness stems from your self-perception and self-image. Let's get rid of mental illness. Let's just say mental health. Mental health could be a positive thing. You could have good mental health, right? So your self-perception of yourself and your self-image. The Honorable Marcus Garvey once said many years ago, rest in peace to the ancestor, the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey. He said that without confidence you are twice defeated, but with confidence you already have the victory before even getting started. That means it's a mind thing and also a spiritual thing. He said twice defeated, which means spiritual and physically defeated without the confidence. So if children are growing up, and since we're talking about black kids here, they are growing up with this self-image of themselves of less than greatness. They're growing up with this image of themselves based on their political, social, economic situation. They may not even look at it as that. But the sociological, the social economic situation that we see ourselves in are based on what our parents are showing us. Case in point, you have slave trade, you have sharecropping, you have racism, police brutality, the KKK, you have financial disparities, lack of resources. You don't even have black therapists. As a matter of fact, the American Psychological Association has less than 2% of black psychologists, which means that majority of the psychologists or therapists that we see, that those that want the help, are seeing white psychologists who are culturally incompetent to actually assist a black individual. Why do I say that? Not that they are purposely being racist, but some of them are racist. And there have been many cases reported of microaggression of racism due to the practitioners, on part of the practitioners. Now, this has to stop. We need more black psychologists. We need more black therapists. But the situation here in the United States makes it very, very difficult to make that happen. Why do I say that? Because you don't have the black psychologists and therapists, having their own practices, because it's very hard to actually afford to do so. You have to be an intern for 2 years. You have to, I think it's so ridiculous. I was on a radio station, 1380 WAOK. Many blessings. Shout out to Dr. Keith Slaughter, who's giving me my own show there, or co-host there, every third Monday in Atlanta. And the next time I'll be there, I think will be January 17th, the third Monday. Look it up at the calendar. Go to my website, KevinDorival.com. And also Dr. Faye, who has her own practitioner. She's a therapist. And she was explaining on the show, she was a special guest for that day, last year, December, before the year was closed out, 2018 closed out. She was saying that the reason why there aren't many black psychologists and therapists is because they really can't afford it. It just costs too much money to actually be a therapist and actually be that intern for 2 years. You have to rely on your family, who maybe also already in some kind of social or financial disparity, to be able to afford to take care of you and their bills while you go to school and become an intern. Even though you're going to make a lot of money once those 2 years are up, but we need that support system, and because it's literally killing us. And I want to bring some positive things to light. The reason why I am talking about mental illness, for those of you who don't know who I am, I'm definitely Googleable, King Kevin Dorival. You go to the link at the bottom of this video in the description. Just click that little triangle, gray button on the YouTube video, and you'll see the link and more information about me and what I do. Now, my team, which is comprised of about 4 or 5 board members now, and even though I moved to Georgia, we host the annual Black on Black Crime Solutions panel. This year makes it the 5th year. 2019 makes it the 5th year, which we'll be hosting at Atlanta University, along with Dr. Keith Slaughter, Dr. Caprice James from California. She's a mental health therapist. Also, Camille Burke, who's a mental health therapist in South Florida. Dr. Willie James, who's a pastor and mental health therapist and addiction counselor here in Atlanta, Georgia. And so I was able to get these people involved, and we definitely looking for support. Go to the GoFundMe Crime Solutions panel, or just go to the bottom of the website, and bottom of this video, click on the link, and the bottom of my website, you see the flyer there. Now, we need to have more mental health therapists, because it's destroying our community, the fact that we can't seek help. It's perfectly normal, and you're not crazy if you have, you're feeling some sort of anxiety, some minor depression. You're going to have, life can be very depressing sometimes. It really can. As positive as I am, how outgoing in my charisma, my personality, and the good things I've done, the countless of volunteer hours I've done, the people I've looked out for. Sometimes who's looking out for me? Who's taking care of me? So we really need to take care of ourselves as far as taking some relaxed time. But we need to have more programs supported like what we are doing. Our annual program, which used to be called Black on Black Crime Solutions Panel. Now it is called the Community Crime Solutions Panel. I took out the Black on Black Crime for political reasons, because people always, not always, but the small support we're getting, the small amount of inquiries, even though we're doing this program to support our community, the few people that actually had something to say, who had the courage to say something, were saying that they didn't agree with the whole title Black on Black Crime. That Black on Black Crime, we were just playing along with the stigma that black people are naturally criminals. We are just a crimogenic society, culture, community. No, that is not true. I was just simply stating that it's not that I don't care about crime going on in the white community, crime going on in the Hispanic community, and the Asian community, and the blue and green community. What I was simply stating was that I am highly concerned. My top priority is my community, which is the black community. I am just as involved in black on black crime as I am in black on black love. As a matter of fact, 2 days before that event, we're having a Valentine event called a Golden Love panel, Golden Love Royalty panel here in Atlanta, Georgia. It was actually going to be Jonesboro, Georgia, south of Atlanta, where we're going to be discussing black on black love, and we want to promote love. We want to promote relationships. We want to promote healthy marriages. You know, we want that. You know, marriage to me is one man and one woman. That's it. Not saying that the other ones don't count, but that's what I'm concerned with, because our children deserve to see their mom and dad in a home together, kissing each other, edifying, uplifting each other. That helps improve their mental health. And these things we cannot continue to ignore. We have to champion the healthy relationships in our community, because all these little things are adding to the PSD, the post-traumatic syndrome, you know, and the Dr. Groy called it the post-traumatic slave syndrome, which got her very popular, and I hope one day I get to work with her. She's a very good psychologist and renowned author and speaker, and I'd love to work with her. But the reason why we created a Black on Black Crime Solutions panel to begin with, back in 2014, was because of a man, a scholar, a Pan-African psychologist and professor named Dr. Amos Wilson. Dr. Amos Wilson wrote a book called Black on Black Violence, the Psychodynamics of Black Annihilation in Service of White Domination. That's the whole title of the book. That book changed my life. Now, I watched this video. He had a video on YouTube which someone put up, because the video was made in the 80s. You can tell by the thick glasses and the suit he had on. But if you were not to look at what he was saying about the mental state of the black community, you would think that video was made in 2019. If you did not watch the video physically with your eyes, but just heard it, just listen to it. That's how profound and prophetic what he was saying in that video and many of his videos. Just Google Dr. Amos Wilson. But I bought the book, which I happen to have it autographed, and it discussed how racism, how the black on black criminal is really a white man with a black mask, killing, you know, each other, hating on each other. Just recently, as a matter of fact, today I got an email from a producer of a TV show, a cooking show, and they were going to feature my second book, Seven Types of Queens, King Desire, which is a relationship self-help book, a compare and contrast of ancient queens with women of today. And they wanted to have me on the show. But there was one of the chefs on the show who actually told me about the whole show. She began hating on the fact that I'm going to be on a show with her team, and not a show she wanted me to do with just me and her. And so she literally sabotaged the whole show, knowing how much I wanted to do that show. How much I fought to talk to the producer, convince the producer, gave him a nice letter, a proposal. They loved the idea. And she sabotaged the whole thing. I'm not going to say her name for many reasons, but she's a chef here in Atlanta. I just say part of her name is Riley. So you guys can look her up, yada yada. But I couldn't believe it. You know, you have a black man who has defeated the odds and continues to help his people, his family, defeat the odds, and you go and sabotage a show like that, telling the producer that I said something negative to you, which we don't speak verbally anyway. All she does is text. And I couldn't believe it. When I seen that, I'm like, I didn't say anything to this woman. But the simple fact that I didn't pay attention or acknowledge her text messages, even though I'm calling to communicate, she goes and do that. Now, am I gonna go crazy about that? No, I'm not gonna go crazy. I'm gonna keep moving forward. There's another young lady here in Atlanta, Georgia. When I was trying to get help to host the event that we are going to get ready to have on February 16th, 2019, at Atlanta University, the title of the Community Crime Solutions panel this time is called "Addressing Mental Health," right, and healing the hurt. She was supposed to connect me with some psychologists and people here in Atlanta, Georgia, and she even was hating on the whole thing, didn't want to help. And when she told me she was going to help me for my information, she told me she's not going to forward the email because, for whatever reason. I'm like, you just forwarding the email. I'm doing this for our people, and this is a free event. So these types of things are proof that the Willie Lynch syndrome is very much alive today. The fact that instead of propelling one another, we want to hold each other back. And that's maybe because they're facing some mental illness. But regardless of the fact, we have to keep moving forward. We have to actually stop and care about one another to edify and uplift, to beat the racism that our people had faced for 500 plus years. Still facing today in some countries. Even in Africa to this day, Africans our ancestors, our brothers and sisters are still being enslaved. Still being enslaved right now by Arabs, by other African tribes and cultures. I mean, some of this stuff is just, it's mind-blowing. Like, wow, why? We have to do something. We can't wait on the government to go do something or to start the programs. Wait on their funds to start the programs. I just told you there's 47 million plus black people in the country. If we were to donate $1 towards a worthy cause, each and every one of us, whether you are 10 years old or whether you're 85 years old or 100 and still breathing, $1 out of 47 million people, we could fund every single program we wanted to. Every single program that maybe they may not have the highest stats or the highest records of improvements or success rates, but they're trying, is what I'm saying here. They are trying. We just need to actually, I'm just sick and tired of the fact that we choose the littlest things not to support one another. The littlest freaking things, man. I'm trying not to curse here, but it really pisses me off. And my passion for my people, oh my God, if Marcus Garvey was alive today, I know he'd be slapping some of y'all across y'all face, man. Some of you are so fucking petty, man. I'm so serious. I mean, one thing to be petty to yourself, but don't sabotage and don't stop the progress of someone doing something good for their people. Okay, if you don't want to help support them doing something for themselves, so be it. But not when we are already being slaughtered. Look at the stats. Look at the police brutality that we can see right now. On any YouTube channel, on any news station, look at what's going on right now, and for us to sabotage one another. I can't stand it. It really pisses me off. And I don't know when it's going to change or how it's going to change, but we got to do better. Because if we don't do better, what are we leaving for our youth? I'm standing on the shoulders of people like Booker T. Washington, Harriet Tubman, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. That's the shoulders I'm standing on. But what about my little nephews and nieces? Whose shoulder they going to stand on? Which ancestor are they going to stand on? What about your son and daughter? Think about it. The Black Panther movie, and I'm going to digress for a second. I said regress. Digress for a second. The Black Panther movie made over $1 billion, right? One of the top-selling movies, if not the top-selling box office movie. There's a few things I would love to point to you that the Black Panther, people who made the Black Panther, the director, even he didn't produce it. It would have been nice if it was produced by a black person, directed by a black man. The actors in it did a wonderful job. There's 3 things that took place in that movie, and many people, you've seen it, but you didn't know what it was called. And this is the solution to black on black crime and mental illness. One, you have black people financially stable and supporting themselves, right? In Wakanda. This can be a reality that guarantees that there will be less mental health cases. There will be less mental ill individuals roaming around the country. Number two, you had black people encouraging one another. That was beautiful. To me, that made the movie just, even though the technology, the funds they used to do this movie was off the chain, but the fact that black people were self-sufficient, I absolutely loved that. They were doing their own thing, supporting one another. Yeah, there was some fights going on, but fights always gonna go on between people. We never gonna always get along with one another. You're gonna have some arguments. And by the way, arguing with people, it doesn't make any difference. And so you shouldn't even do it, because when you win an argument, you're not gonna win anyway, because the person is gonna still hold a grudge against you. So don't even argue. I'm just telling you, 2019 beyond, stop arguing, even when you're right. You try to see the other person's point, but if you gotta check them and correct them, just do it in a diplomatic way. For example, hey, you sound about right, and sometimes I'm wrong in these issues, but let's look at the facts. Say something like that. Be cordial about it, right? Another thing I want to say, there was no, as I mentioned, they were self-sufficient. They helped each other. They helped one another. The poverty wasn't there. You know what I mean? Everybody was being productive. Everyone was contributing to the good of the community. It was one of those things, principles in Kwanzaa, which is called Ujama. What is it? Ujama, which means collective effort. Collective effort of the community. Ujima. That's a beautiful thing when we are able to unite and come together. That's what makes Kwanzaa so beautiful. When you are lacking in mental health, it's hard to have Kujichagulia, which is another Kwanzaa principle, which means self-determination. Doing what you have to do. Many people within the black community, we're not doing what we have to do. We are doing anything just to survive. When I say doing what we have to do, it means we are doing for one another. Not me doing for me, but we doing something for each other. That's what we need. And that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Let's start working together. Let's start being a blessing to one another. Let's start supporting one another. And it's unfortunate that we are where we are today, even though we only 30% of prison, 30% of the population. We are 60% of the prison population. 60%. And let me make a correction on that. I did not mean to say 60%. What I meant to say, we are 30% of the prison population, but collectively, we make up nearly, with male and female, almost nearly 60% of the prison population because of drug offenses. Why are we in there for drug offenses? We're in there for drug offenses because we need the money. We need the money. This causes stress, right? You